Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Aina Jiha
I am Hashimazaki.
and we are from Band 2A. A few days ago, we had an interview with Mr. Anwar McAfee from Unisa Pupal, who has a hobby which is bird watching. We would like to thank Mr. Anwar for having us on the interview of something that neither of us are familiar with. So what is exactly bird watching? So bird watching is not just watching the bird. Basically, we have to analyze where the bird comes from, what kind of species the bird is, and how often the bird comes to a place. So we have gained a lot of knowledge that we never knew before about bird watching.
We have found a lot of insights on bird watching that we never knew before and today. So we're going to do a communicative reflection on the interview.
Firstly, I want to talk about the verbal communication that happened before and during the interview. First of all, before we did the interview, I used a form of verbal communications called written communication to message Mr. Anwar on the messaging app WhatsApp. As you can see from this screenshot, that I use a clear and simple message to make Mr. Anwar understand what is my purpose of the interview. Patrick in the article, effective tip for written communication, wrote that one of the most effective ways to do written communication is by making the message short and simple. Other than that, before the interview, we also prepared several questions to Mr. Anwar. However, we didn't use all the questions that we prepared because there are some answers that have been given by Mr. Anwar, so we have to create a few improvised questions to ask for him. What I learned from this is actually in communication, you need to learn to adapt. So when you adapt, you can manage to do the communication effectively.
Next, I'm going to talk about non-verbal communication that we use in the interview. Both of us also use a lot of body language to communicate with each other in the interview, so we are aware of the parts that we should ask the question to our interviewee. We use it quite a lot in the interview. As you can see from the footage, we try not to interrupt the flow of the interview by communicating using non-verbal communication, such as using eye contact, and we also nudge each other a lot. I did this to her. Okay. I also gave a signal to remind her so that we didn't go overboard. Body language usage is an effective way to avoid from interrupting the interview process. However, nonverbal communication between us could be interpreted differently by people who don't understand the reasons we chose to do so. Because based on Arthur 1995, nonverbal communication cannot be universally translated by others because nonverbal communication could mean completely different things to the other based on their culture, status, and communication context.
So lastly, I want to touch on the nonverbal communication that Mr. Anwar used in the interview. So firstly, he did a great job communicating with us using his eye contact. I personally someone who dislike eye contact because I often bother and feel awkward by eye movement when communicating. But thank you, Mr. Anwar. I don't think that his eye movement from his eye contact is bothering me, and I think it's made our communications in the interview become more effective. And then I also would like to thank Mr. Anwar for using clear and concise intonation in the interview, because I feel like if he didn't use such a clear and concise information in the interview, both of us may have some difficulty understanding the interview. So the next thing is I want to touch on the special expression that he did. Okay, according to Lemus and Delante, uh, facial emotion is really, really important during communicating because we can gain clue from their faces. As you can see from the interview footage, the facial emotions that Mr. Anna conveyed actually help us a lot in understanding the interview better because he used various facial expressions and it makes us engage and understand the interview better.
We have come to the end of this video. In conclusion, both of us believe that this interview has taught us things that we never noticed before we started learning about communication. We are glad that we earned a lot of communicative insight that neither of us ever paid attention to and cared for in the past.
So both of us don't really understand before because when we go to interview before, we just talk to people. We didn't notice the body language, the expression, and everything. But when we put the things that we learn from these subjects introduction to communication, I think we notice a lot of different things. We gain more insight and how to make the interview become clear and understandable for both of us.
Besides, we also gain new knowledge about bird watching, which is the lovely creature that we just explore.
And before we end our video, I would just want to say, if you are interested in joining the club, please join us. We are inviting you guys to join us to explore the bird in Uniza and Changai.
Yeah, just let us know. That is all.